talk about the relationship between Grimaldi and Flynn, right? That they had with the ambassador.
Yeah, between Mr. Woolsey
Mr. Woolsey and Mr.
Mr. Flynn, right? Well, Mr. Flynn was really acting as a bit of an intermediary, maybe even blocking or preventing, from what I understand, Mr. Woolsey from having very many conversations with the Trump campaign. And in that sense, when he talks about his inability to sort of, converse on this, that's why he stepped back from it, as he explained it to me. And it seems like Mr. Flynn also was employing him or bringing him along to this meeting. And as Mr. Woolsey explained it to me, he was not told that this was going to be the discussion of the meeting. Mm-hmm. Yet Mr. Flynn's business partner, Bijan King, insisted that he be there, insisted that he be picked up by a car and brought over to the meeting. And if you're going to have a discussion like this, what better than to have a former CIA director?
Mm-hmm. Well, one thing I'd like to emphasize is that although Mike Flynn had asked me a year or so previously if I'd serve on an advisory group for his Flynn enterprise, his Flynn operation, and I agreed to do that, I took no money for it. I went to no meetings. I had no telephone conference calls with the Flynn group. I basically had nothing to do with them. They were just a name on the resume.
Either one of you, do you think he's trading on his relationship with the Trump administration or the incoming administration for favors, or what's going on here?
It's hard to say. James might have a better idea.
Well, it's really sort of amazing that he took $500,000 from this client for reasons that are still kind of murky and unclear that included this meeting. At the same time, he's advising the Trump campaign, the major nominee of the Republican Party. It seems like the two don't necessarily go together, and he was really on, I think, very shaky territory. Now, I hasten to add that Mr. Flynn and his spokesman have denied that this occurred at the meeting, but
let me read their statement, okay? Because a spokesman, as you said, for General Flynn, disputed your account of the meeting, Ambassador, on a statement tonight saying, quote, "The claim made by Mr. Woolsey that General Flynn or anyone else in attendance discussed physical removal of Mr. Gulen from the United States during a meeting with Turkish officials in New York is false. No such discussion occurred, nor did Mr. Woolsey ever inform General Flynn that he had any concerns whatsoever regarding the meeting, either before he chose to attend or afterwards." What's your reaction to that?
Well, it's true. I never informed Flynn, and I would definitely not take that path. I informed other people that I thought were quite responsible. I don't know what was going through Flynn's mind in taking the course that he took. And as I've said several times, including this evening, I am not claiming that there was a concrete plan that was being fleshed out at the meeting, but there was a good deal of discussion of that general direction that James has so well described, of trying to put Gulen essentially out of action.
I have to ask you.
I want to add two things. One, Mr. Woolsey told several people contemporaneous, and I've spoken with them, and they've confirmed that. Separately, we've independently confirmed it through another avenue, and so therefore this is not just sort of a one-sided, description that we have.
Mm-hmm. I also want to talk about him, registering as a foreign agent, also the compensation that he was getting from Turkey, and what sort of exposure, if any, does Michael Flynn have in all of this? We'll discuss that right after the break.
Success has always been measured in zeros.